Hello everybody and welcome back to the KCM. We're finally here with the semi-finals. Protoss versus Terran. Bringing this thing to an end, bringing it to a conclusion. One of these two teams will be going up against Zerg in the finals, but who's it going to be? The Korean players and Korean fans seem sold that Protoss is going to make it through here. Over 70% of them voting for Protoss, but I think there's a much better fighting chance here for Terran.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit better chance than that for Terran, and you got some heavy hitters in here. Sure. JYJ not so much, but also the Protoss squad has YSC Toll God, so they're gonna have a good time as well. It was really a bit of a surprise to see like the individual wins of the players this season. Royal apparently has been killing it, 11 wins, 5 losses for him, but most of these other guys are actually in a bit of a deficit. Like this is 5 wins, 6 losses, Minis 3 wins, 4 losses, Snow's 2 and 2, YSC's 1 and 4, Lights 3 and 5, Rush's 2 and 3, JYJ 2 and 4. I'm really surprised at like how most of these guys are in a bit of a deficit, and it was just been crushing.
It's been a tough season, man. Like hardly anybody's been able to get more than 1 win in a row, and so Royal, the shining star, doing a little bit better than everybody else, but it's been a hotly contested season. Is it going to be a close semifinals? I'm hoping so.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. Got a quick probe scout here from Snow. Looks like this theoretically could have been something like a CC first here for JYJ, but it looks like the answer is going to be no. As soon as he sees that probe scout on the ramp, even if he was thinking about possibly getting a quick command center, he's at least going to do a bunker expand here. And Snow trying to be as annoying as possible with this probe scout, but honestly not bad SCV control here from JYJ. He's kind of kicking this probe out from his base right away without having to pull additional SCVs to repair and what have you. Meanwhile, behind this, Snow throwing down a quick nexus.
Yeah, really good control from JYJ. In fact, Snow was putting so much attention to this probe, he was a little bit late on throwing down his nexus, and is going to get that down now, but kind of left the probe over at that nexus for a little bit of extra time here as he tries to battle this SCV as best he can. JYJ just 2 on top of it, dude. He's not letting the probe get any free hits, and now we're within, 2 hits from a kill on this probe, and JYJ hasn't even had to switch out the SCV yet. He's just been battling with just the 1 SCV, controlling the ramp, doing a great job. Doesn't even have to make a Marine here, but he does start one and switches out the SCV there for the one building the supply depot. Snow's got to be careful here. A little bit of moving shot. Suddenly almost has the kill on this probe.
Wow.
Really, really rare to see a SCV tracking down the probe like that, but JYJ on his control, at least in the early part of this game.
Yeah, that moving shot with the fusion cutter was seriously sick, saying. I mean, I was already impressed with his SCV control starting out, and that just kind of solidified it. I mean, damn, like, has this guy just been working overtime or something? Usually has a little bit of a hard time in this versus Protoss matchup, but so far, coming out pretty confident here against Snow, who usually has God tier micro as well, so this could be a good sign of things to come. And Jane Doe can be a pretty good map for Terran versus Protoss. Sometimes the Protoss players having to rely on a carrier transition to actually get a win condition going for themselves.
Yeah, carrier's very strong on this map. We'll see if Snow wants to head in that direction. Oh, interesting. We're going to be seeing some sort of a DT play out of him. He was able to deny the scout with the probe on the ramp, but JYJ got some good information just saying that there's no zealot out yet. So he knows that this has been most likely a nexus first, and he will respond with something over here in the top. Is he going to be making a dropship here? I think he's going to be throwing down a starport in this corner, Shun.
It seems like it, yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense. He's already got the 2 factories back at home. It would kind of be weird if he just made a random 3rd factory up here at the 12 o'clock. Hasn't yet decided to build anything with that SCV. It's still just kind of chilling out there at that location.
Could just be a scout.
I guess, but I mean, I'm not sure what it's achieving much besides being like a delayed scout, I guess.
Yeah, maybe just a delayed scout, just gonna come in here pretty soon. A little bit crazy for Snow to be going with just ground-based DTs when you know there's this wall at the top of the ramp. You can't get through that very quickly here, and like it doesn't really seem like it's gonna do a whole lot of damage. And what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he kills one Marine. That's something. Okay, he did start a third factory here in the main. He's whittled down the Marine count a little bit. He's kicking off all of the low HP Marines, which isn't terrible, but with the nature of Jane Doe, this doesn't stop JYJ much. Like, he doesn't need to take this third base as an expansion for a little bit longer. He's fine to just sit up here on the high ground and chill. I guess it's some nice compensation for Snow getting a couple of Marine kills for that initial investment, but it's not crazy amounts of damage either. It looks like Snow looking to take a 6-minute third base here. An SCV scout, that delayed SCV coming in to identify that in the nick of time as well, was the plan all along from JYJ, just to confirm that this wasn't some kind of 2-base arbiter or 2-base carrier build coming online.
Okay, this makes a little bit more sense. We saw the Robo in the main. He's not going to be going for walking DTs. He's going to be dropping them in. DT drop with the 6-minute third. It's pretty wild. That's going to leave Snow with very little resources for defense back at home, but he's relying on JYJ to be highly distracted by this drop into the main, and also, you know, to pop out a couple of DTs on the map and just defend with those on the ground if JYJ were to come in and just try to attack directly. Oh, dude, JYJ is in so much trouble. The moment that he sees these DTs start to pop out, he's going to be absolutely panicking. He does not have any turrets here. He just finished the eBay, and a lot of SCVs are going to start going down.
Wow, this is like the one build that JYJ didn't want to see. I think I was talking to you when this map first came out that I thought that DT drop would be really strong here, and Snow is putting that on display. Engineering Bay just finishing up as their DTs are coming out of the shuttle. He's going to eventually get a couple of turrets out on the periphery and start to shimmy some mines into this DT harassing the minerals, but he needs to be super careful that the DTs can't just splash down a bunch of probes. Meanwhile, JYJ putting a bit of pressure on at the front door. He will eventually stabilize the main base against this threat of Snow, but has lost quite a significant amount of these SCVs in the process, so the damage has kind of been done. Snow just needs to hold back at home. I don't think there's any Academy finishing up anytime soon, so he's not going to have scans to actually keep this attack online. So Snow needs to keep killing the SCVs and not allow JYJ to leapfrog these turrets forward.
Oh yeah, JYJ is pretty dead in the water here. I thought there was maybe a little bit of hope for him with the turret coming up in front of the natural. Like maybe he could, you know, set up a few turrets here, kill the third, kind of contain the Protoss, and give himself a bit of a fighting chance. But with the amount of damage that's been done, and the fact that this is still going on in the main while he's been unable to push forward close enough to actually hit this Nexus, this game is over, and we're going to see JYJ tap out here very soon. Snow getting the Protoss players off to a great start.
Yeah, this is just so rough for JYJ. This is like the one opening he was not able to deal with, and it's going gangbusters. He'll eventually get this other turret online in a more forward position, but it's a little bit too late. Snow doesn't need to use the DTs to defend anymore. He's got more than enough Dragoons to surge forward and snipe one of those siege tanks. JYJ gonna tap out. GG is called, and a quick win on the board for the Protoss squad.
Well, it's a little bit sad to see JYJ go down like that, but this is the Terran player that we were expecting the least out of. JYJ, the TVZ specialist. Weren't really sure why he was in this lineup. The rest of the lineup is looking fantastic, though. Royal Light Rush are still remaining. Light has spawned now in the bottom right-hand corner. And his opponent, of course, Snow down in the bottom left. This is a classic matchup, man. We've watched Snow and Light battle it out here at the KCM time and time again, and we've had some fantastic games out of these two.
Yeah, and this is the second best map for Terran in the map pool, I believe, behind Attitude. I can't remember the exact win rates, probably like 43% for Protoss against Terran. It's so good for Terran. You've got quick access to this third gas, and the only play I've seen that's been like really smart out of Protoss players against long game Terrans on this map is like kind of baiting their army out of position and using some arbiters with stasis to catch them off guard. But generally speaking, if nothing goes wrong for the Terran, like they tend to be set up so perfectly on this map.
Yeah, it can be really tough to break that third, right? We'll see what Snow can do here. We were discussing this just before going live today, that Flash has kind of led the way a bit in deciphering the way in which you can beat a player like him, how to beat a player like Snow. So putting on that constant pressure and just forcing him not to macro while he's microing his Reavers. We'll see if Light is capable of emulating that play here today.
Yeah, I think Royal, I was discussing with you before the stream, before the cast, like Royal is probably best suited to executing that style that Flash was doing against Snow. He was doing a lot of 6 factory play, and like you say, just running it down so there's not enough time for Snow to juggle controlling the Reavers, the Goons, and hitting his macro cycles. And also was being very careful about the tanks sieging up. So he was only sieging like 3 tanks max at a time to target down the Reaver, and the rest of the tanks were just steamrolling ahead, gaining as much ground as possible. Let's see if Light wants to go for a similarly aggressive style here against Snow, or he's just gonna, you know, play his A game.
Yeah, I think you can play either way on this map, right? You can play a long macro game and just try to stick it out, you know, control your quadrant of the map and shut down bases in the late game. But you could also try to go for a 6 factory push and try to emulate what Flash did. Light, I think he leans a little bit more towards the macro play, but he's absolutely capable of pulling off some tricks, and is well known for his drop play as well.
Yeah, looks like a traditional factory expand here from Light, pulling some workers off of gas to squeeze out that CC as quickly as possible after throwing down the factory. And Snow going for a relatively clean Nexus timing as well. Yeah, neither player really in advantage at the moment. This is very traditional timings from both sides. This could lead to a very good macro game, unless one of the players wants to get super greedy or something in the coming moments. Even with this bunker timing, everything's lining up to be a nice macro game.
Little pokes here and there, but again, everything is so normal in this game so far. Everything is so predictable for both of these players. Like, nobody's gonna take a really big advantage here unless a serious mistake is made, and very unlikely that either player will be making any of those big mistakes in the early game. We're gonna have to see how Light defends the Reaver to really get a sense of who's going to be playing better here today and taking the lead in this critical game. And if Snow or Light gets taken out of this lineup, it's such a blow to either side. So taking some momentum here in set number 2 is going to be a massive win for either team.
Yeah, especially with JYJ out of the picture, it was kind of really important for Light to try and seize back some tempo here. Don't forget, guys, in the semi-finals and finals, each team does have a revive, so like theoretically they could bring Snow back from the dead if he was to get eliminated here. Let's see if there's any deviations in the normality of this game. Like, theoretically, Snow could throw down the support bay instead of an observatory first to go more hyper-aggressive with his Reaver timing. Light could throw down a 3rd factory early and put on a bit more pressure here. Looks like Snow gearing up to want to take this 3rd base, but Light comes in, snipes that probe, gets some mines laid down here. So Theoretically, even if you did go support bay, you could still clear those mines with some micro, like you can see Snow doing here now. Haven't got a shot off the base, so I don't know if he actually did go for observatory first or not, but he definitely wants nice crisp timing on this third base location. It does seem like he did get an observatory first. So yeah, both players playing super normal. This engineering bay and armory timing is super normal. There's no quick third factory from Light. This could be a nice macro game, Sam.
Yeah, this is some good pressure from Light just to make sure that Snow can't take any liberties here, like take that Nexus without getting an observer out, or having a prerequisite number of Dragoons to hold off a little small pressure like what was just applied there. Back at home, getting all of his mines into position. The turrets are going to be coming up here soon. You cannot skimp against a player like Snow when it comes to these critical defenses. At this juncture, you have to make sure that there are no leaks, there's no holes in your defense that Snow can start to exploit. Terrans have gotten better and better at this lately. I think Light is one of the best, just consistent Terrans at defending these types of aggressive attacks from the Reaver in the early game.
Yeah, Light doesn't always have like the highest APM out of all the Terrans and what have you, but his decision making and his like level of experience and understanding tends to shine through and help carry him, especially against players like Snow, whose forte is literally their control and micro. Sometimes Snow's macro will take a big hit in the mid game going forward, so will give Light a little bit of breathing room. He's not like someone like Best, who's just going to be churning out non-stop units and just trying to muscle you out of your entrenched positions. Looks like Snow gearing up to take a very, very early fourth base here. This is a little bit on the greedy side. Like 9 minutes is considered about the lowest end of the range of being a safe timing to take that base. He's taken it just before 8 minutes, so this is a teeny tiny on the greedy side. This can be weak to something like a 6 factory play, but it doesn't look like Light is gearing up for that. This seems like a normal 5 factory style from him thus far.
Yeah, maybe Snow has figured out Light's style a little bit here. He's played a lot of games against him, as we know, but you know, if Light just wants to take a pretty normally timed third base, he is going to be a tad bit behind with this super fast fourth from Snow. Liking the position here from our Protoss player now. Seems like he's making some great choices as well. Oof, taking some mine damage there in the middle. That can start to spiral. Like if the Terran player here, he scans the main, he sees that the gateways aren't quite on time. They're a little bit later than what he might have expected, a little bit behind where the factory count is. And you see a couple of good mines connect on the Dragoon blob as well. I mean, you could change plans pretty quickly and just push with this 5 factory instead of trying to take a third base.
Yeah, the biggest shame out of this is that there's not been enough vulture pressure on the map. Like, how fantastic would it be for Light to slow down or at least catch some of these probes being transferred over to this 4th base? And you can see the timing of these 2 vultures sharking around, just not good enough. He at least identifies the expansion timing. And looks like Light is throwing down his factories preemptively, which has actually been quite trendy in the meta. Usually you get your 3rd base and then go up into 7 factories. He's kind of doing that in reverse. He's getting the 7 factories online while making the CC to float over after the fact. And I actually quite like that here from Light. Still needs to be careful. There's always that chance of this Shuttle and Reaver getting some damage for free here and there, but he's relatively plugged up tight in his main base, so he should be safe to start leapfrogging down to take this 3rd gas. And it's very difficult to attack into this tight, narrow corridor. Snow technically has the timing to do that now if he goes before Light's fully set up here, but without leg enhancements, it should be a no-go.
I really like this bunker in the main, by the way. It's quite a sick decision. Oh my god. Great damage from that Reaver shot. Killing off a bunch of those vultures. And right as a ton of zealots arrive too, nonetheless. Dude, so many of these vultures were just killed, and he's just going to dive directly on top of this. Although Light has been very conservative in his push forward, he's been really diligent in building up all the defenses. He's almost getting cracked here. He barely manages to hold this. Will get his third base on live, it seems. Nice zealot bomb there, getting an extra kill or two at the very end of this fight. Another Reaver shot as well. 2 more tanks go down. Snow, the absolute goat of getting as much value as possible out of that Reaver.
This was a really nice timing from Snow. Like he's got that leg enhancements coming online a little bit preemptively than a lot of Protoss players would, just in time to attempt to punish this third base from Light. And Light held it well, but it still works out pretty good for Snow. Actually tries to sneak a Reaver into the natural here. Now going for a massive dive with some Zealot Goon as well. Nothing in this bunker right now. And just a few tanks in position to start repelling this. Maybe Snow can at least trade off a few tanks off the board here, but you probably should start retreating with the remainder of these Dragoons. This is a slightly ill-advised attack. It is good for catching a Terran out of position, but Light had enough forces here to kind of get a good trade. Like, on all things considered, Snow's lead is slightly diminishing with these slightly failed attacks, I would say. So this is looking better and better for Light. He will want to start being a little bit more aggressive against Snow.
Oh boy.
Or just bunker down and take a vote. Wow, Snow is being so aggressive. He's just rotating down here to the third base after pulling Light out of position. This is interesting.
Yeah, it seemed like Light thought maybe he could counter there. Like, he killed the army and he unsieged absolutely everything. The siege position that he had before was actually quite good. He had a good defensive spot. Unsieged everything, started across the map, scanned, saw what there was from Snow, decided he doesn't want any of that, and then turned around, went back home, and left his third base wide open. Now Snow is getting in here and totally denying that third. Oh, the Reaver does go down, however. A Vulture run by on the other side of the map is trying to get some damage going, but does get denied and pushed away. Snow still up here on this high ground with a few Dragoons. Slowing down this base at all right now is super painful. We're past the 13-minute mark now, and Light has hardly been able to really gather too many resources from this third base so far.
Yeah, I still think that Light is trading better than Snow overall, so there still might be a timing for Light to fight back in this game. I'm not sure if he would rather expand or go for an attack. I don't think he should slow down, though. I think he needs to continue to develop quite rapidly against Snow here. Wouldn't mind him just building a CC to float over to either the 6 o'clock so he can be aggressive and defend and attack simultaneously, or bunker down and take the 3 o'clock, but that's a lot more passive of style of game. Snow has not yet tried to secure a 5th base. I think he's got a probe out towards this third base in the top left. Reaver gets sniped coming in to the natural third here from Light. Maybe trying to see if he could get a Reaver Scarab shot off on these SCVs, but he's not going to find it. Scarab's going to dud out. Good reaction time there from Light. I'm actually liking this game for Light. Snow's not continued to expand aggressively, and Light's kind of held his own so far.
Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of that lack of macro from Snow, as he's been spending a lot of time microing these Reavers around. Light is pushed now into the rally point of Snow, spreading out all the way to the front now. And oh my gosh, he's actually gonna lose all the Goliaths too. Damn, the Reaver actually goes down. What a trade. Zealot's coming around the backside. Is it time for Snow to flank this army? I think he needs to wait a little bit longer. Wait for another rally to come out of his gateways so that he can hit this from both sides simultaneously. Instead, he's going to go for a counter attack, though. sending it over here towards the natural. There's only a couple of tanks up on the high ground. There's a mine here that can be dragged right into this army as well. So many of these tanks are going down. Dude, he can get these dragons on the high ground. That is going to be devastating. Just a walking recall here, just going right up into the main. SCVs on the ramp are doing a good job of blocking out a lot of these dragoons, though. Only 2 make it into the main. Still going to cause devastation here for Light, though.
Yeah, this is a bit of a nightmare for Light. Even if he does trade this army off cost efficiently, it's not good enough. It's completely destroyed any timing that he would have had against Snow. And honestly killed quite a few tanks. And it's interesting that he's got these 2 cannons set up here and hasn't yet taken the 5th base. I'm sure the probe's about to make that now. Very interesting location to take as well. Like, this will not get scanned for a very long time or checked by Light. Snow's still trying to run it down on the front lines. He knows there's hardly any vultures left remaining, and even with just a couple of zealots, he's still being somewhat successful at coming in here and pick off a few tanks. Now he's splitting off his army, sending some units down to the 3rd base location, trying to stress the task switching ability of Light to the absolute max in this game. Light's been pretty good at reacting thus far, but he's not continuing to grow. Meanwhile, Snow will be getting that 5th base online soon.
Oh, these are some great shots from the Reaver as well, by the way. So many kills on these reinforcing tanks. This will finally be cleaned up, but again, blocking the resource mining of Light in that 3rd base. Like, he's had to transfer those SCVs back and forth so many times. Oof. Giant mine connection there. Snow just not having the observer in the correct place at the correct time does take quite a bit of damage, and in fact the supplies are remarkably close, man. This is still anybody's game. Suddenly Light is ahead in supply, actually. He's got to be mined out though, right? Like, he's transferred his SCVs back to the natural multiple times, had that way oversaturated. It's got to be almost empty.
Yeah, the natural is pretty much mined out. The main might be lasting another 30 seconds or a minute or so. But yeah, the natural's definitely dead in the water. Light kind of has to do something now while he's got this small supply advantage. Snow, though, just recently got his upgrades online. He was fighting on 0-0 for a very long time. Now has 1-1 to match Light, and has done pretty exceptional Reaver control. But despite all of that, Light is gaining ground. He's now starting to set up a contain on this natural expansion of Snow. Snow was able to get a transfer of probes up here to that natural 3rd location in the top left quadrant. Has that 5th base mining, but Light, like I say, he's starting to knock on the door now. Snow needs to respond. He's forced to make a big engagement, trying to attack from the north with some Dragoons. Good target firing from Light, not letting the Zealots force splash damage, and the mines helping out in a fantastic way as well. Light looks like he's very close to winning this game at this rate.
Despite not really having much mining going for him, like really only having that 4th base, looks like he's starting to long distance mine at the bottom center as well, taking that base in behind this attack. He is making it work, man. Snow trying to flank there, walked into a ton of mines. He lost a lot of HP on the Dragoons and Zealots. He's going to try to sneak out with this shuttle, try to do some miracles here with the Reaver, while his one and only rally point is being completely contained by Light.
Yeah, this doesn't look good for Snow at all. And that's the funny thing about it, is like, even though all these attacks were good from Snow, Light was actually trading better as time progressed. So it was really annoying for Light to deal with, but he dealt with it in a good enough fashion that he's been able to pull it out of the bag. This is a nice little counterattack here from Snow, stopping the 4th base from going online for Light. Light just down to 1 base mining, so he does have to make this work here and now. He's already killed that natural, needs to come in here and get some continuation damage going. Snow trying to micro his heart out with this single Reaver. Does get a pretty big, massive Scarab connection there and another one, but is it going to be enough? It looks like Light should be successful at steamrolling this natural 3rd location. Snow trying to break out of the natural with a squad of Dragoons against what few remnants of tanks Light has mustered in this location. So theoretically, it looks like Snow did technically break the contain, but there's still plenty of units on the board for Light to run it down.
Oh, he's gonna get this base online now. Center right is about to come up. Still just one base mining for Light. It's such a limp economy that he's working with right now. Still seems like he has quite a few SCVs, but that's basically all the SCVs that Light has at the moment. Everything is at that third base. The fourth is going to be routed here. Giant connection, absolutely massive, killing so many SCVs, but Light gonna trade for center left.
Yeah, this is still really good from Snow. Like, this is technically keeping him in the game, but this is still a massive advantage for the Terran. If this 9 o'clock goes down, I don't know how Snow's going to pull this out of the bag. But to be fair, this fourth base that Light's trying to take over and over again is pretty exposed to counterattacks as well. If Snow can just find a way of playing keep away from the main battle force of the Terran and keep putting on pressure onto that fourth base, theoretically there's a way of making this work. But if Light doesn't make any mistakes, I feel like this is going to be a Terran victory.
Time to maybe make a bunch of DTs and try to dive into the main, kill the comsat, maybe something like that. I mean, we don't have any science vessel, definitely no science facility, so you know, there is that possibility that you can get rid of all of the detection and you know, just win basically through DTs. The invisible men, man, it's a heck of a way to win, but hey, a win's a win, man. And getting over here to the center right, he's on top of that high ground, starting to deal quite a bit of damage. Light is going to react to this in time, though, and the Reavers, I don't think they can quite cut it here. Oh, he's gonna lose the shuttle right away, sieging up the tanks and pulling back one of the Goliaths as well. Damn, Light is very good, man. Minimizes the damage from the Scarab and forces the GG there out of Snow. What a battle back and forth between these two, and an excellent momentum stealing victory here for Light. Awesome, as expected. We've got Best spawning over here at the top center, the next best player to take on Light in this matchup. Best, the gorilla toss. We'll see if he's able to turn things around for the Protoss squad. Just want to mention, guys, all kill is on the table. 6 million won. And how it works here in the semifinals is you only need to kill 3 of the opposing race. You don't have to you know, beat all 4 players, but you have to beat 3, and you cannot be the revived player. It has to be your first life, so to speak.
Yeah, that's $4,000, guys. If you're not looking that up in the conversions, just so you know. Definitely a big chunk of change for these guys to battle for. Light, by the way, going for a 11 gas, little bit on the spicier spectrum, getting that factory a few seconds quicker. And if this was something like a 12 Nexus from Best, you're getting that Vulture in the natural just as the Dragoons start to pop out, so there's a good way of punishing something like a 12 Nexus with just the use of the initial Vultures when you go for an 11 gas like this. But, you know, Best is doing a very mid-range style. He's not getting greedy here. This also is a little bit of a spicy map for Terran. It's good generally for Terran, but with that low ground, no ramp to defend, you do have to keep the probability of a 2-factory play in your mind as well. So maybe another reason why Best being a little bit hesitant to get greedy.
I don't think Nexus First is too popular on this map. You can see some spicy Protoss players go for it, but it can get scattered out pretty quickly, and the rush distances aren't crazy long here. It's not like a cross map on any of these 4-player maps that we have in the pool right now. So Best playing it straight down the middle. This is what we expect from him. Just a strong macro play. Nothing fancy. Get himself into a good position and just try to wear down the Terran player by smashing through all their positions.
Yeah, this is looking to be, you know, between a 23 and a 25 Nexus. He hasn't gone for a rangeless expand here, so it looks more like a 25-ish Nexus timing. Sometimes they'll even get that as late as like 28 supply. I think either is fine. Like, it's not going to be a big deal for Best if his Nexus isn't super early, but Light is already gearing up to plop his down. And yeah, it is going to be a 23 Nexus there from Best. And getting your Nexus around about the same timing as the Terran, it's reasonable. We used to think that, like, if the bases were even for both players in terms of the time they take them, it's like massively Terran advantage, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be a lot more even than we used to think.
Yeah, Bess is poking at the front here, making sure that Light at least has to build this bunker. It can't get away with not making this in a situation that he's placed himself in. Okay, not able to get the SCV either. He should not let this out. Oh my gosh, he just lets it run right past. Oh boy. Best went back to macro and missed out on quite a bit of damage on the initial vulture. Like, you should be able to get at least a couple of volleys on that, if not killing it. And so, you know, Light sneaking out with a near full HP vulture early, that's fantastic. That's going to give him a lot of pressure, and it's going to give him the ability to throw down mines potentially behind this as well. Oh my god, DT! Holy cow. I was not expecting this from Best now, especially after we already had a DT play today.
Yeah, I mean, Best mixes it up, right? Oh, it's a DT drop to boot, saying this could be very spicy. But yeah, like, Best is the kind of guy, like, you know, he's gonna rotate the DT build in, like, you know, 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 games or something, just to obfuscate the range of play, so you can't just metagame him into oblivion. He's not the best at doing it, pun unintended, but I mean, you do have to mix up your style a little bit just so that other players can't get away with just being unsafe against this. So, like, in the macro games, they're not skimping on their engineering bay and academy timing, and in the games that you are doing it, if they are trying to metagame your macro prowess, they can get punished by it. So this looks like it's going to be a DT drop into something like a 3-base Arbiter play, I would imagine, but we'll have to see.
Is Light going to be able to sniff this out? He's just waiting with his mines at the 3rd base. Either of the 2 3rd bases here, making sure that Best can't get a very quick Nexus out. 6 minutes has passed. He's got the Dragoons here in the main base, making sure that there's no drop coming in from Light right now, but is the Light suspecting anything? We haven't gotten a good shot of the Terran base here in a moment. There's the eBay. It's on the way, Shun. DTs are about to be popping out here, but I think there might be just a sliver of time that Best can get this drop in before the turrets are actually done.
I think the turrets will be nearly done as the shuttle is coming in with the DTs. It depends if he, like, immediately throws down those turrets or not. It looks like Best should still have a timing regardless.
He's gonna see it.
He's gonna see those SCVs. Oh yeah, the mine is actually gonna see the shuttle. Okay, that helps him out a little bit.
He's gonna start putting down a bunch of turrets right now in the main base. 3 tanks, 2 vultures. I doubt he has any mines left over. Seems like he's thrown them out all over the map and in the natural as well. First Goliath pops. Here comes the shuttle into the corner, into the pocket, but the turret is done. Nothing he can do to harass this base right now. I think he can't even. I don't even think he can attack that supply depot. No.
On the far left. On the far left, he can.
Okay. Yeah, on the far left, can barely attack this, but an SCV is actually able to. Oh, and he kills the probe as well, dude. Light is playing fantastic today. He's gonna finish this turret and kill the DT as well, as slowing down the 3rd. Oh my gosh. Okay, wasn't quite able to save that supply depot, but other than that, everything has gone perfectly in this defense.
Okay, well, with the support bay, it doesn't look like Arbiters. This looks like it might... this might just be like a Gateway Man style here from Best, wanting to get that shuttle speed and using that Templar Archives to go into High Templars here. Light gearing up to take a pretty quick 3rd base, and he gets the shuttle! That's pretty massive. Luckily, the DT does get outside of it, so he doesn't lose everything for free, but still pretty good for Light, all things considering. You know, Best has got this 3rd third base on the way, but Light equally taking this false high ground third base. One thing to point out, though, is this is a very low yield third expansion for any race. The gas with 3 workers on it only lasts for 5 minutes before it becomes depleted, so you do kind of have to use this base as like a springboard for a timing attack or to quickly get a 4th base going.
I love the confidence from Light to just immediately take this third. Even though the DT drop was still kind of rotating around the base and looking for damage, he just came out, made the turrets, and immediately shuffled 3 tanks over. Takes that third base so quickly. It's actually going to set Best pretty far behind. DT drop is one of those builds where you really need damage, and Best, since he hasn't found it, is in a bit of a difficult spot, man. It has to be said, Light is in a good position to take this game and continue his streak here in the semifinal.
Yeah, really solid play from Light. Like, he prioritized that turret in the main, had the floating eBay to cover it as well, so there was no chance of Best targeting that down. His other turrets were a little bit late, but he knows if it is a DT drop, it is coming into the main most likely. So yeah, good planning. Oh, the mine! I'm not sure. Okay, he does scoop it up in time to not take the damage. Starting to chip away at some of these turrets on the periphery to open up this location for additional harassment in the future, but so far Light has done a good job of battening down the hatches and isn't really at risk of taking any damage anytime soon from Best. On the Protoss side of the field, he is taking a 4th base at a reasonable timing, and it does look like it is going to be that gateway man style with a few Reavers thrown in to, you know, delay the Terran advance if this is going to be a very crisp timing attack from Light. And Best definitely does need something like Reavers to hold the line, to buy him time enough to actually get enough macro cycles out, because his army is nowhere near as strong as it could be had he not gone for that DT drop build.
Yeah, it's going to be a desperate defense here, no matter which way you slice it. Light is going to be pushing out soon with a very strong factory count. Another drop in. I mean, he's throwing away a lot of resources to try and slow Light down, and none of this addresses the push that's going to be coming soon. He will have High Templar Storm for that. He's going to have a fairly large Dragoon Zealot army to back it up as well, but Light is going to be very scary, man. Like, I don't know if he can actually stop this. He's going to require some absolutely phenomenal storms, and Light is well known for being very poised when it comes to the way that he pushes, and you know, the time he takes to make sure that his setups are good and not take massive damage from something like a Reaver or a Storm.
I also really like how Light delayed taking the 3rd gas for at least a couple of minutes. He knows that's going to dry up quickly, so he needs to be as resource efficient as possible until he takes it, so that he's going to have more longevity out of that expansion. So now he's going to get, you know, 7+ minutes total out of that base before it becomes dried up in the gas at the bare minimum. And that'll give him a lot more of a fighting chance against Best. It is a bit difficult for Terran to get a 4th base online that isn't this mineral only. So I like that he's giving himself a little bit of breathing room, so he's not as pressured to go on a counterattack and be successful. It does look like he wants to start pushing now, but he's more covering this lane to the top left so that he could expand as well. So he's threatening Best with a good time. Doesn't quite pick off the shuttle, but the Reaver does get sniped at least, and the shuttle is super low on HP. Best finally in his macro stride has a ton of Zealots squeezing out of his bases, but Light equally very close to that 170 supply mark, which is usually a trigger point to start pushing.
It's crazy how much Best could actually make, man. It always blows my mind how he has so much army. And I mean, he's got enough to potentially shut this down, especially with storms, man. It really does change the math a lot, and it requires so much finesse to fight back against that, to have the spread of the tanks, to make sure that you're not taking, you know, big damage from each of the storms. He's going to be pressured up into the top left-hand corner with this flanking army. That's going to be completely wiped out, but Best is going to take the opportunity to dive on top of this 3rd base. Storms are going to be coming down here. SCVs are bailing out. First storm, not the best, does mostly whiff, but the second one kills so many SCVs and hits a tank as well. 3rd one absolutely ravaging this backline. Looks like he's going to be able to trade out quite a few more tanks and a massive number of SCVs. While his supply is barely falling, dude. 183 still. And he saved this army in the top left, dude. Everything turning up for best here.
This was a masterful 1-2 punch combination set up from Best, just distracting Light with that small pocket of infantry to the north, pulling the Terran out of position, and the main threat running into that third base. Okay, we are actually going to be seeing Arbiters. Best keeping me guessing with his build order choice. I initially thought he would be going into Arbiters in this game, but he just has delayed it so much, so he's not going to have stasis or recall for a very long time. But the longer this goes on, the better it will become for Best. Another big massive engagement in the center of the board here with some brilliant storms and zealots bombing out onto these tanks. Needs just 1 or 2 more storms to make this super cost efficient, and he is starting to blanket those tanks in the back line now. What an engagement from Best. This was off the back of a failed DT drop, don't forget. It's insane, the macro and the unit engagements that this guy can find.
This is some monkey business, Shin. I don't know what Best is on and how he manages to pump out so many units, but he has absolutely smashed this attack, completely surrounded that army, and continued to prevent a 4th base from coming up from Light. So the position is looking better and better. Best is hitting his macro stride with the bottom right-hand corner starting to come up as well. Looks like he might lose his shuttle. It is very low, but no target fire from that Goliath. And Light, I mean, he's just trying to claw his way into a position in the middle of the map. I mean, he's got hardly anything here to try and hold this position, and Best is going to go right as his rally point arrives here at the front line. So he is just absolutely hitting his stride here, bashing through Light's defenses and getting on top of this 3rd base. This might be the end, Shun, because Light is running out of money everywhere else, and this base is not long for this world.
Yeah, I mean, even if he does hold on to it, it's going to be mined out a lot quicker than normal expansion is. GG is called. King Kong tearing Light limb from limb and putting the Protoss squad back in the lead with a fantastic display. Good luck trying to macro as good as that against a Terran that completely thwarts your initial attempt at going for a DT drop. That was an absolute masterclass from Best. We've seen a few lackluster games from him recently, but that was such a great showing.
Okay, a beautiful showing from Best there. And Light has now been eliminated. He can still come back. He has not been revived yet, though. Royal, spawning over here in the top left, has been the hero for Terran this season. We'll see if he can continue that trend. Play some great games here tonight. Still has a potential to get that all-kill prize if he takes out Best, Mini, and YSC in a row. He will be taking home 6 million won. What a huge motivating factor for him right now.
Wait, can he do that with Snow? Wait.
Only needs to get 3 kills. Only need to get 3 kills in the semifinals or finals.
I thought that was different. I thought you had to get 4 players in the semifinals. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, just 3 kills, guys. That's all you need. It cannot be from after you've been revived, though. You cannot do it after being revived, otherwise it doesn't count. Has to be your first attempt.
Okay. Well, let's see what we got in store for us today. Royal is a totally different style of Terran compared to these other guys, and he's been crushing it this season of KCM. He's got, I think, pretty much one of the best records out of just about any player, especially in the Terran squad. Let's see how well he fares here against Best. Going to be close spawns, but no greedy play from either side. Looks like both players going for a mid-range style. No Nexus first, no bunker expand, or any shenanigans like that. Hopefully should be another good game.
Zealot opener from Best. Gonna try to put on a little bit of pressure. Royal has a very nice setup back at home, though. He should be fine. And well prepared for this aggression. Factory started. 2nd Marine on the way. The lift off and land actually might make it a little bit tough. He's only going to have 2 Marines with no third one popping out just yet. So the Probe Zealot combo might have a chance of getting something done here. Maybe he can even go for a run by after pushing this back. Yeah, just going to run right into the main. That's a little bit unfortunate for Royal that he put that barracks in the wrong spot. It does cost him a little bit. He's going to lose this SCV, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't dance to the other side. He has to pull it off at the bare minimum and get a fresh SCV onto that. Looks like pretty good micro from Royal overall, but with the second Zealot coming in, this can get a little bit spicy for the Terrans, as the Vulture's not going to be out for quite a little bit. Let's see if somehow Royal can get on top of his micro here and not let these Zealots dance around him. Doing an okay job, but actually the Zealot does find purchase on the small squad of Marines. SCV's desperately trying to body block, but it also opens up some SCV snipes. Well done from Best, kind of faking going for the Marines and finishing off the SCVs there. Gonna put him into a pretty comfortable position. He was focusing so much on that micro that he wasn't actually sending the probes to mine back at home, but that's okay. The main important thing is not wasting production time. As long as you're making the workers, it's okay to delay them being sent to mine.
Yeah, master of macro is best. Like, this guy, he knows his stuff, man. Even he is not capable of doing absolutely everything at the same time, though, and that was kind of a theme of what we saw from this season with Flash, right? He was explaining how he was able to take down players like Snow, just kind of reinforcing the fact that even though these guys look like gods, they look like they can do everything at the same time. Not the case, man. There's always little chinks in the army. There's always little things that they're missing out on if they're focusing their attention in one place. They cannot be everywhere at the same time.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception in StarCraft, is people talk about multitasking a lot, but there actually is no such thing as multitasking. It's task switching. You know, you're keeping all of these plates spinning at once and essentially juggling all these different tasks and rotating between them as quickly as possible. So if you force them to focus on just keeping one plate from smashing, suddenly all these other plates start to wobble, and players like Flash are able to exploit that to the absolute limit. Let's see what these guys are going to be going for as a follow-up play. It looks like a very safe build from Best. He's going for 3-gate observer here, maybe anticipating some pressure out of Royal after taking a bit of a dent to his economy against the initial Zealot pressure. Maybe he would be thinking about throwing down additional factories earlier and trying to punish a greedy Protoss. And when you go 3-gate observer, you're pretty much safe against anything.
Best, maybe, you know, taking into consideration, this is, you know, Royale with cheese. This guy likes to do some crazy plays. You don't want to get caught off guard, and just making sure that you're prepared for everything with this conservative build might be the best call. He knows that he's strong in the late game and favors his chances at taking a PvT versus Royal as time progresses. So he's going to be here in the main, making sure that there's no drops. He's got plenty of Dragoons at the front. Looks like kind of a strong FD push from Royal. Actually a little bit behind that. He's built so many Marines here, man. What would you even call this push at this point?
It's just a committed 5-tank push is what I would describe it as. He's got 2 SCVs to repair, additional Marines to tank. Yeah, this is more of just like a very heavily committed 5-tank timing. But 3-gate Goon does line up pretty nicely to this. You do have to pull probes to really make sure you shut this down. This is a big investment from Royal. With this many Dragoons, you should be safe as long as you got the probes helping out. Let's see how good the target firing is. 1 tank goes down right away, and the Marines not lasting too long as well with the probes helping out with those particle beams. The Dragoons starting to get low in count. Probes helping out, dish out alpha damage to eliminate as many tanks as quickly as possible to still technically win this fight, but he has lost a lot of probes in the process, and 2 vultures trying to slip behind enemy lines. Luckily for Best, had a Dragoon coming out of the gateway to help block the ramp and start clearing this up. We'll get maybe a mine connection here. That's not nothing to sneeze at. And also if he gets 2 additional probes, that's huge. Big pickup there for Royal, taking a bit of an eco lead now with how many probes that have gone down.
Yeah, a lot of probes went down in that fight. I don't know if I've even seen a fight quite like that before, with all those probes being pulled ahead of time. Best absolutely has seen that attack in the past. He knew exactly what to do and exactly the correct response to shut that down. Barely holds on, loses a lot of probes, but he is alive and still has chances in this game to start making a comeback. Royal, however, going to keep the pressure on by sliding these vultures around the bottom side, getting into position to mine that 3rd base and prevent Best from accelerating ahead. He definitely needs a 3rd base coming up here soon. Like, he has to get his macro feet back under him.
Yeah, we did see a game similar to that in a couple of ASLs ago. Best was in the bottom left, and I think Light was in the top left, and he kind of tilted Light into going for a pressure play similar to that with a big investment, and he pulled the probes with the Dragoons. But that was not a 2-base timing. That was like a 2-factory 1-base timing, I believe. But Best had anticipated needing that extra damage and support with how much Marines that Royal made behind that.
Well, look at this. He's going into 2-base Arbiter. Best is on the ropes, man. Like, he really feels like he needs something extra. He needs an X factor in this game in order to stop a push. Even if he was gonna take a 3rd, I think he feels like he just can't win by simply taking a 3rd base. Nice snipe, killing off that probe and preventing the potential 3rd. Like, what I mean is, Best doesn't feel like anymore that he can win just through pure macro. I feel like he needs to finesse a victory here, and maybe he can do so with like an extremely good stasis or something like that.
Yeah, I think the idea behind this is, I know I'm probably not going to trade well if you do like a normal 5-6 factory timing attack. I need to rush into stasis as quickly as possible just to have any kind of longevity going forward. And indeed, Royal is pulling the trigger on a 6-factory play here, while Best trying to get this 3rd base online, but stasis won't be ready for a little while. So there's definitely still a timing here for Royal to exploit. Oh, excuse me, sorry, he's making a CC there, not a factory. I thought this was 6-factory. It's not. It's 5-factory with a 3rd to float over. So not as committed of an assault that I thought Royal was going for here. And yeah, let's see how well Best does against it. He needs to buy like another minute-ish until he's going to be able to squeeze out that Arbiter and get the stasis close to ready. He can also throw in a couple of DTs here and there and force good reactions out of Royal with scans, maybe find a way of slowing down this push enough to stabilize.
All right, 3rd base coming up for Royal. About the same timing as Best is getting his own 3rd, so definitely power and momentum here for Royal. Let's see if this Arbiter can start to turn things around. Royal's just so on top of everything, man. He has already scouted this. He's already scanned this. He's going to catch this probe coming down to bottom right as well. Oh my goodness. He immediately reacts with the science facility. It's exactly what you want in this situation. You don't need to play this pure, 1-1 style, like really heavy on the factory count and army count to try and beat this. It's much better to just go into a more normal play, like kind of I guess it's almost old school now to get like a very fast +2/+1 attack with a science vessel. That really isn't the meta right now, but it's definitely strong against what Best is trying to do.
Yeah, I imagine that might have been in response to scanning that Arbiter Tribunal, like you say. Okay, finally got that Arbiter out. Going to be another, 25, 30 seconds until he has the energy for a stasis. It was a nice little DT drop play that Best went for. He actually delayed 2 of these factories from finishing up, so slightly taking a hit to the production capability. Oh, he's glitched out the turret with an observer. That used to be illegal in tournament play back in the day, but no longer is. Yeah, he's being super annoying, forcing Light to focus on cleanup duty. Not actually going to do a whole lot with this continuation play, though. It was much better when he slowed down the factories with that first effort. He should at least have that 1 stasis to deal with the initial timing here from Royal, and he just needs to get this 4th base online. Okay, there's the Nexus down in the bottom right. If he can get a rally point set up there as well, there's a lot more wiggle room for Best the longer this game goes on, but Royal at the moment definitely ahead.
I don't know if Royal can actually afford to make Vessel and EMP here on just 2 gases. I don't think he can actually make that work, so he's gonna have to cut somewhere, right? Either cut the Vessel and the EMP, or you cut a lot of tanks, or you end up cutting your faster upgrades, right? There's just not quite enough to go around, so it looks like 1 Vessel pops out. I don't think he's gonna have EMP though. If he wants to continue these upgrades, he's gonna have to sacrifice.
Yeah, I guess you could cut a tiny bit of tank production, not make that many Goliaths, and stay on 7 factory. Like, sometimes you can power up to like 8, 9 factory production on 3 bases, but he probably will stay on 7 just to make sure he can afford to get all of that tech that he needs, as well as squeezing out a Vessel or 2. Yeah, this is pretty good for Royal, going to town on this pylon wall down in the bottom right. Best is really out of position to deal with this, so he actually might kill that pylon.
Kills the pylon, you can get in here, start to deny the cannons as well. Yeah, it's gonna stop these cannons from finishing. Dude, this is really annoying. Best, he needs to space up yesterday, man. Royal has been even on bases with him this whole time, so he desperately needs to get at least 1 base up over the Terran player, and he's starting to lose a Nexus. Dude, this is really bad. If Best loses this Nexus, he's going to be in a horrific position, even if he wins this next upcoming fight, which is a big if already. He's even going to start targeting down some probes here. Probes over at the 3rd base. A lot of them are going to lose their lives, and now Best has to get his army together to prepare for this attack, and Royal's gonna come up here and flank this, start to lay down some mines. Best has only 1 option for retreat, heading out the top, and I mean, this position is already looking nasty. Royal can set up right in front of the natural if he wants and start to choke off reinforcements. Best finally puts his whole army together. Can he crack this force?
Royal hit that 2-1 timing attack just before he started pushing. He's made a 4th CC as well that he can float to this 9 o'clock position. He doesn't need to kill Best right now. He can just rotate back over to secure this 4th base. There's a few stasises available to Best. Let's see how good they can be. How many tanks can he lock into those ice cubes? Does get a total of 5 with 2 stasis, but it's maybe not quite good enough. Not so sure if he's got enough additional zealots to run in here and actually capitalize on this, so he might actually have to pull out. Gonna rotate to the 9 o'clock with some remnants of his forces to at least delay the timing of that expansion, but this is all still working out so good for Royal, even if he can't take that 4th base right now.
Well, killing the CC is a bit of a blow, but yeah, just wrecking through that army. He's 30 supply ahead. A lot of the stasis have been used. He didn't use all the stasis to his credit. Best was a little bit conservative with that, but here we go. Tons of vultures showing up to the natural. There's just pure zealots here at the front, so they're really not going to be trading too well. The flanking army is coming up. He's got 3 arbiters, and I think 2 more stasis already. Can he actually break this attack? Some storms come out. Great storms here on some of these vultures are actually going to help him to break through this. 2 more storms may be available. There it is. 2 more storms, just barely starting to crack the position. Another storm here on the back line. 1 more, I think, for the vultures, and a few more zealots pop out, but everything in stasis is still going to pop out and be on Royal's side here in a moment, and I think he might just get broken once all this stuff pops out.
Yeah, let's see. He's going to get on top of these vultures popping out before the tanks can arrive in time, so that's something going best way here. He's got so many arbiters. Needs to be careful not to eat an EMP as soon as that vessel becomes unfrozen. I like that Royal is starting to preemptively split his tanks a little bit, so he's not going to get a 3-for-1 deal with the stasis that he has got available. Still some good stasis targets for Best here. Gonna lock up some of the tanks and a vulture. These units are about to thaw out. I mean, Best technically should be dead, but a lot of these tanks are still pretty clumped. So with how much energy he's got available, maybe he can still find a way at navigating a good hold here. Locks down the vessel with the stasis after the EMP. I'm not sure if he knew that the vessel already has used 2 EMPs total, so shouldn't have enough energy for a 3rd one. Maybe Best just wanting to be super safe against that. Dragoon's eating some mines in the center. That's a bit of an unfortunate eventuality. I don't think he's got enough macro to break this hold that Royal has set up.
I thought he had 1 more stasis for these tanks in the back line, but the Dragoons are just getting minced by this. Nothing able to flank this army in the end. Best lost a lot of his forces to some of those scattered mines. No Goliaths just yet, but here they come. They're actually making their way into the back line and are going to start to clear out some of these arbiters. Oh man, totally mined out in the natural now is Best. He just doesn't have the income any longer to make this work. He's going to lose everything at the top center as well. Plenty of arbiters, plenty of energy, plenty of stasis, but no army for Best to speak of. He's just got nothing to stop this force that's slowly closing in on his natural.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that these bases aren't mined out. Just denying the probe transfer and keeping the rally point locked up is more than enough to close out this game here from Royal. Some elevator tactics from Best, trying to be as annoying as possible at this 4th base location, but looks like Royal will just barely have enough to clean this up slowly but surely as he gets more rallied units up here to defend. And now starting to split off some tanks to hit this base at the 3 o'clock. That should be lights out for Best. If he can't break out right here and now, he's in so much trouble. 4 arbiters coming in into the 12 o'clock. I don't think he has enough energy for recall, even if he had an army to recall, but at the moment he's just getting absolutely demolished by Royal in this game.
Looks like he's going to be catching these probes on the transfer as they try to head down to bottom right to just suck up a little bit more income for Best. They're going to be shut down. He barely brings together enough Dragoons to actually stop this, so he saves a little bit of income here, but the weight of the army, the Terran army, is coming down towards that bottom right. 5 arbiters and nothing to do with them. Just nothing. You can't recall anything, and putting this army in an ice cube is just not going to save the day for Best. He's going to lose all the probes down at this base pretty soon, and there's just nothing left to do, man. Royal's completely maxed. He's got plenty of bases. He's totally locked down at these locations, and he's starting to finally shut down the arbiters as well.
Oof. I mean, Royal's just playing like an absolute monster this season, and who knows, man, he might be capable of getting that all-kill prize. Best taps out. GG is called. And Royal on a winning trend going forward. Not many players getting more than 1 or 2 wins under their belt apiece this season. Maybe Royal will buck that trend here today.
Fantastic choice from the Protoss squad, sending out the kryptonite of Royal. Tull God over here at the top right hand corner. Not even a joke, guys. Royal is one of the funniest players. If you haven't been watching in the past couple of seasons too closely, like, Royal has developed quite an interesting reputation for winning against the strongest players in the world and then losing to players like Shuttle and Tulbo.
I knew you were gonna say that before you even got the first few words out of your mouth. It's so true as well. It's so bizarre. If you guys have been watching some of the Pro League games as well, that you really will know what we're talking about. It's such a bizarre phenomena. I can't even tell you why. Like, I don't know if it's like he's thinking too many steps ahead and he's like metagaming himself, you know. Maybe he needs to like dumb himself down for Shuttle and Tolgod and not try and play like an absolute wizard. I don't know what it is.
Artosis can tell you why.
Okay.
You can lose to players because they're bad. That's what he would say. Royal. He feels that, man. He knows the feeling. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. We kind of joke around about Tolgod, tongue-in-cheek, Tulbo, aka YSC. He has had some good runs. He's had some good games. He's nowhere near a player like Snow or Best, but for whatever reason, seems to be able to take down Royal, who can beat both of those two players pretty consistently. It defies all logic, but that's the way it is. I think it's the best argument for the concept that is, you know, some players have like they have like a different skill set, or like they have a different style, and sometimes those styles clash in kind of a funny way, right? Like some players' styles are actually better against other players.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of people forget about that fact. By the way, we got a bunker expand here from Royal, getting a little bit on the greedy side of things, but I think bunker expand on this map in particular, Knockout, not a bad choice. It's actually one of the more balanced maps that we've got for TVP. I think it's split pretty much down the middle in terms of results overall. And yeah, I mean, with the trench, it's a little bit harder to punish the Terran going for these slightly greedy plays, and you can even delay the bunker a lot because you have that trench. You can just get away with like the first 3 Marines and Vulture holding the line for a super long time, or you can throw down the bunker right away and make less Marines. Seems like Royal's doing the latter. He's made a lot less Marines and just going to be throwing down that bunker. And YSC is going for a pretty quick Nexus here. Like, he's made that at 20 supply. That's still pretty quick for him.
He'll probably play a pretty conservative game. Like, we know what YSC is like. He's a pretty similar player to Bast, right? Like, he's a very strong, consistent macro player that thrives in the mid and late game. I don't feel like he's quite as strong as Best, though, when it comes to that. Like, he doesn't seem to have that overwhelming number of units at any given moment where it's like, I don't even understand how he managed to get that much stuff out. But there are times when he just somehow manages to pull through with a mid-game timing. We see it against Zerg all the time. YSC, pretty good at just hitting his macro and hitting that timing. He's really more of a Terran player at heart.
Yeah, I kind of do see him as like a baby Best. Like, he does have a kind of a similar style to Best, and he is pretty good at macro. Maybe not, you know, anywhere near the level of Best, but I do certainly see similarities between those two, much more so than someone like Mini or Snow. YSC is just nothing like that at all. But for whatever reason, he does have a pretty good record against Royal, especially on like things like Pro League. Let's see if he can pull out a win here on Knockout against him. I think it's definitely still Royal favored. Like, Royal's just that good of a player that he should be fine here, but for whatever reason, there's a glitch in the matrix, and YSC's been able to get the better end of the stick when facing off against him, despite Royal being able to beat pretty much anyone else.
Ooh, very fast third base. 5-minute third from YSC. So he's really getting into his macro stride. Will Royal be able to sniff this out and try to punish it? I don't think he's really set up to do so, but he's got some time here. We'll let him cook, see if he can get out and find out about this quick third. One Dragoon at the bottom left-hand corner is kind of funny from YSC. What is he waiting for over there? Maybe a drop or something like that? Just seeing if there's anything exiting the main. Kind of an interesting move from him there, but okay, he's gonna bring it back now. I guess he had a timing in his head.
I don't know why he would check for that, because it's much more likely that Royal takes the vertical access. With that dropship. So yeah, I'm not so sure what that was about. Oh well. But to be honest with you though, this is a pretty good idea from Tolbo, like to just get this quick third Nexus on the way when you know you're up against a bunker expand. It feels like a good rational response overall. And Royal's not cutting corners, you know, he's gone for a pretty early eBay. He's not playing that greedy behind this, so this could work out pretty good going forward for our Protoss.
He's gonna get in here and see everything. Should be pretty happy with what he sees in this main base. Just a couple of factories getting added, 3 tanks. You know, no quick pressure coming out of Royal. No very fast 4 factory. Just a armory spinning. And eBay is coming up. A couple Goliaths pop out. Yeah, this is great for YSC. I mean, he can sit back, macro, possibly even get into a quick 4th base as well, and be completely fine. 6 factory, okay. So seeing the 6 factory, what's the reaction from YSC? Add a lot of gateways to just try to shut down this attack, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of gateways, and he might need Reavers as well. Yeah. Is he? Whoa. Is this gonna make a turret, or is this? He looked like he was gonna try and throw down a 7th factory with that SCV for a second. I don't know if he can afford that. I guess he did go for a bunker expand, but even so, I don't think it might be wise to go for a fast 7 factory play here. The SCV for some reason just kind of hanging out and not doing anything. Maybe he was going to build a turret or something and just hasn't pulled the trigger on that. Not so sure. But yeah, YSC's definitely going to have to go heavy into production. He can't take a greedy 4th base behind this. Indeed, the SCV is eventually building up that turret. Yeah, this is very scary from Royal. Like, he kills a lot of people with the 6 factory timing. So we need to see an explosion of gateways from YSC, maybe a support bay as well to get a Reaver or 2 out to help sandbag that advance when it does come online.
Yeah, good time for a Citadel as well. Got to get the leg enhancements in time for this attack. Make sure he's got enough zealots to shut this down. But I mean, if he just gateways up hard, gets the leg enhancements and hits this head on as it starts to push out, he could take a very good trade, especially like on this map when you have to press across the bridges. That's the perfect opportunity. You got a lot, like a good wide range of attack coming in. Oh, he throws down a 4th. I feel like this is a bait, man. Can you actually?
Maybe.
Can you really imagine a Protoss player trying to take a 4th right now when you see a 6 factory play coming your way? I mean, I feel like he's just.
I don't think it's a good idea.
He's telling Royal that he needs to attack him right now, and I don't know if YSC is going to be ready for this or not. If he shuts this down perfectly, I mean, it's got to be a Gigabrain play, right? To get that 4th without really intending to build up to it, or, you know, getting prepared here to shut this down. Man, this is either Gigabrain or absolutely ridiculous play from YSC. I'm not sure which one.
I'm leaning more towards ridiculous. I mean, that's 2 gateways and a zealot or 4 zealots worth of production money that he could have had to get home. He has got a fairly large group of zealots. I haven't seen leg enhancements just yet. He's got slow zealots. Okay, there's the leg enhancements kicking in at the nick of time to try and pounce on top of this army. Good screening by Royal with the vultures out in front and a good spread on the tanks. Target firing down the dragoons very efficiently, now going for an unsiege, but it looks like YSC just barely breaking through this defensive line of Royal. It's going okay. This could have been a lot more one-sided for Royal going forward. YSC's still in a lot of trouble. Like, this is still good for the Terran. He still should be able to make advance and gain ground on these bridges. And the Zealots kind of coming in a trickle, not really accomplishing a whole lot. Was a nice idea there from YSC, but just not good enough.
He just did not spread his units, man. Like, the Dragoons were completely clumped, and the Zealots didn't try to get in amidst the Terran units. They were just kind of clumped up on top of some of the front vultures. Definitely not the best play there from YSC, and Royal wraps him up. On his way to that all-kill prize, Mini is the last man standing in his way. Okay, questionable decision-making there out of YSC. Deciding to take that 4th base and getting crushed by Royal. Now it's time for Mini spawning in the bottom left-hand corner versus Royal. If Royal takes this one, guys, all-kill prize is going to be his. 6 million won is a massive take-home for just a single day's work. Just a 3 wins in a row. That's pretty awesome for Royal, who's already had a great season.
By the way, this map is a bit of an anomaly in PvT. It's a small sample size, but in like the few dozen games that it does get played at a competitive level in official matches, Protoss do tend to give Terran such a hard time. On paper, the statistics look a lot more even for Terran with a slight Protoss advantage, but in actuality, in the professional matches, what we see in tournaments like this, actually the Protoss tends to do much better. And I think you can account the fact that there's no easy 3rd gas for the Terran here on this map, and you get a guaranteed probe harassment right off the bat. For some reason, Mini not going for a gas steal here, interestingly enough. Usually Protoss players will go right for the gas steal, but instead going to be doing a pylon block here in the mineral line, frustrating the optimizations of Royal. Has a gateway in the natural to put on some Zealot pressure. Nearly catching this SCV, so close to death. Can he finish it off? Does get the repair going on it. Good micro though from Mini. Can kill this SCV now with one more follow-up shot. Doesn't quite get it though. Barely hanging on to the life of that SCV is Royal.
Oof, that was close, man. That was some really close micro there. Mini did manage to pull off quite a few SCVs from the line to kill that pylon or delay that pylon, and also to repair the SCV there. So some pretty good early game pressure. Has not sent the Zealot out yet though. No Zealot on the way, and in fact he might skip the Zealot. Maybe just gonna opt to make, range Dragoon early and try to pressure here at the front to the eventual CC and bunker that's going to be popping out of Royal.
Yeah, I guess it also could be a rangeless expand. Like, this might be a very quick Nexus, like an 18-19 Nexus here from Mini before he even gets the range upgrade. It does look like that's what he's lining up for. It is technically a forced cross position, so a lot harder for Terran to be successful with something like a strong FD push or what have you. And it does, yeah, Mini does throw down that Nexus very early on, skipping over the range temporarily. Some pretty good micro from the probe, but is getting lower and lower on HP, so needs to be careful not to throw that away for free.
Okay, actually winning this fight, Mini, one of the best at utilizing his early game units. His micro with Reaver, not quite as good as Snow, but his micro with Dragons and Zealots in the early game is pretty well unmatched, dude. This guy is crazy good, and his probe micro and control showing through, enforcing back that early SCV, denying all scouting information from Royal so far this game.
So I feel like Mini's kind of metagamed Royal a little bit. I could be completely wrong about this, but I get the idea that Mini didn't want Royal to go for a bunker expand, which is why he didn't take the gas, and instead just like crippled the economy with the pylon block and the harassment with the probe. And now we've got a much later CC for Royal. The factory's late enough that there's no pressure he can apply to Mini. And Mini got a very greedy, like, 18, 19 supply Nexus out of it. So I think that was the idea from Mini, to kind of not even go for the gas steal, just kind of faking it and letting Royal take it, but actually coming out on top with the build order choice. Maybe that was the thinking.
Maybe so. As it stands, Mini has some Dragoons out on the map. He's got to be conservative with them, though. Doesn't want to allow any Vultures to slip by, or possibly even worse, lay mines in behind these Dragoons and lose the early Dragoons. He's spreading around, looking for a Vulture hidden in some of these corners, these nooks and crannies. He's found it in the top left-hand corner. Just going to keep these Dragoons out in the front. Make sure that he can deny a mine being placed directly at his third. More gateways on the way here as we approach the 6-minute mark. Is it time for a quick third base for Mini, or does he want to go for something a little bit more tech heavy, maybe get into a Reaver play?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, Mini being Mini, he does all kinds of shenanigans. Won't be surprised to see him do something a little bit unorthodox. He's got something going down here to the 6 o'clock base. Okay, it's just a Dragoon to spot for anything hidden down there. Sometimes you can also put a spotter pylon there to check for, you know, later drop tactics from the Terran. And yeah, no probe moving out to take this third Nexus at the moment. This is a much more reserved style here from Mini, and Royal escorting this Vulture over here to this third base location. This isn't a committed attack, it's just to guarantee being able to place down mines on location here and actually identify what the Protoss is up to.
We've got a pretty committed attack here, which is a bit surprising. Royal threw down a proxied starport, and he's trying to build some drops out of it, but he's thrown away a lot of his Vultures already. He's actually going to kill this Dragoon, which was checking the bottom center, and start to back away, trading out pretty much every Vulture for a bunch of Dragoons. I'm not sure if that was the right call. Like, it doesn't really have much to try and throw in at the in the drop, throw into the main. He actually goes for the run by. Very nice pylon from Mini, making sure that he blocks up that natural as the Dragoons start to move out. A drop is going to come around the bottom side, it seems like, now towards that main base, but more Vultures are going to be lost before the drop can happen. Dude, this is starting to get kind of bad for Royal. I'm worried for him.
Yeah, this is a little bit dicey, and there's a small chance that Mini actually spots this starport here. Let's see if he actually checks for it or not. It's just a few pixels out of vision range. He will still have 4 Vultures to go for this drop play, and honestly, it is a nice drop timing. It's very off-key. Like, usually a drop timing is coming in at like 6 minutes 30, and it's going to be hitting at like just about 8 minutes, and Mini won't be anticipating that. He's already starting to hit the front, picks off the tank, and puts the pressure onto Royal, and might not have enough back at home to deal with this dropship cleanly.
Yeah, it really looks like he doesn't have much of anything in the main base. We'll have to run Dragoons back from the natural and defending the third in order to shut this down. Diving in on top of some more of these probes. Great pylon block there to keep the Vultures of Royal at bay. He's going to pick those up and bail out for now. Little bit of damage, not crazy damage, but he actually spots everything. He sees the carrier transition, which is also going to be important. Really nice cancel there, shuts down the drop perfectly. Dude, Mini is playing fantastic here today, shutting everything down and switching into this carrier play.
Yeah, I think Royal might be in a little bit of trouble. Like, even though he knows about the 2-base into 3-base carrier, I don't think he's going to be set up well to defend against it, because he kind of needs to be proactive. You don't want to just sit back and wait for the Protoss player to make carriers. Ideally, you want to go for a timing attack, but he's wasted so many Vultures in the initial skirmishes that he might not have a critical threshold of units to do so. You might feel like he has to just throw down a ton of factories and expand, but it's not even a gas expansion at his thirds to help make a ton of Goliaths and factories, so I don't know what he's going to do. And Mini spots that the starport is blinking and will be popping out another dropship here, and might be able to get a free kill on that.
Ooh, the SCV spots it. That's important. Yeah, there was an opportunity there to maybe shut down another dropship as it pops out. Vulture slipped by into this base. Couple of kills here. 2, 3 kills gonna come down. Damn. Very good damage on those units, on those probes. Really unfortunate for Mini, who will not get much of a shutdown on this starport either. And with the starport, you can actually pretty easily throw down that science facility and go into something like a 2-1 timing attack. It's not going to be quite fast enough to totally shut down Mini's carrier play, but getting that +2 upgrade is incredibly important for dealing with these carriers. The +2 damage on the Goliaths allows you to gun down interceptors so much quicker.
Yeah, it looks like Mini's going to be tactical. Like, he's not, since he knows that Royal knows about the carriers, he's going to use the first 2 carriers to start hitting the tanks over at this 3rd base location. Finally, some Goliaths being made. That's actually just barely enough Goliaths to push back these carriers, since the interceptors aren't fully built up. You can see as soon as Mini sees those 4 Goliaths, he pulls back with them. And yeah, so far this is shaping up to be a very interesting game. Both players only on 2 gases this entire time thus far. Mini kind of rotating around towards the natural now with these 2 carriers, has the Dragoons in support. Meanwhile, Royal rolling on down through the center of the map, but looks like he finally decides to pull back. He needs to make sure he stabilizes back at home. Dragoons helping kill those turrets so quickly. Tanks finally in range of hitting these Dragoons from the perimeter of his 3rd base location. These carriers aren't going to do a lot of heavy lifting yet, but they're helping squeeze out a little bit of damage here and there for the time being.
That was a really nice tank position over at the 3rd base to start to shut down these Dragoons and punish him on the escape. Mini gonna be pushed back. He actually needs a turn with the Dragoons. He can't allow these Goliaths to keep firing. The Dragoons need to come forward, give a little bit of support here. He actually takes a lot of damage. However, everything is clumped up, and Royal with a very late siege. All the Dragoons and Zealots arrive. He's gonna massacre this army. Oh my god, what a trade.
Oh, this was a really good bait from Mini. It looked good for Royal for a second, getting the free damage on those carriers, but Mini kind of suckered him into a very nice trade for the Protoss overall. Pretty much all of the tanks have gone down. There's even some Zealot Goon left to help deal with the remaining Goliaths, and this is all off the back of just 2 carriers. Hasn't even gotten a critical mass of them yet. GG is called. Royal gonna be denied that all-kill prize. The trend continues, saying so many players struggling to get multi-kills under their belt.
All right, all-kill prize is no longer on the table. I like this one. I'm happy with this. This feels right that we're gonna have the all-kill prize. That extra, I guess, is going to be 6.2 million won, saved for the finals. So even more important to get into that finals now. One of these 2 teams is going to make it forward. Mini versus Rush is going to be an important match because we only have 1 revive left on either side.
Yeah, curious to see who they're going to bring back. I think Royal a very strong contender for the Terran revive after the fact, and if Mini pulls off this game against Rush, I think he would be a good contender for the Protoss squad to revive as well. Got a cross-map situation here on Octagon. Can be favoring the Protoss in this situation, especially if you're going for those Nexus first plays, but Mini's not doing that. Just going to be throwing down the gateway inside his main base. And the cross map also isn't just good for the Nexus first style of play. It's also just really good in like making the Terran struggle to get the timing attacks to work. You've got extra seconds added to them, so things like strong FD not quite as potent, and you also have the risk of being flanked from multiple angles when you're attacking through the center like this, so that could come into play.
Yeah, this has been a fun map, man. I've really enjoyed Octagon a lot. I think it's a map that could stick around for a good amount of time, right? It adds enough little extra elements in It adds enough like spice without, you know, totally screwing up the recipe. It's pretty fantastic. We're gonna see Royal slide around the top left-hand side with that scout. Gonna be probably hitting Mini's base second. Mini not sending out a scout at all. Looks like he's just gonna be scouting with the first Dragoon.
The build I like the most on this map for Terran is to power up into 3 bases and then not even try and take a 4th. Like, you just go 9 factory on 3 bases, max out as quickly as possible, and if the Protoss was playing any kind of mid-range style where they're not getting super greedy and taking bases left and right, there's just nothing they can do to stop the Terran. Like, unless the Terran is just sloppy with his army control, it just feels almost unstoppable. And this is actually a pretty damn good map for Terran versus Protoss as well to boot. The cross map's going to help out Mini a little bit here. But yeah, let's see what Rush wants to do. I'm not sure I've seen the 9 factory 3 base style out of Rush, at least for quite some time, but that's the build I really would love to see.
Makes sense, man. Like, this map, if you're not already set up at another main base as the Protoss player and got another rally point going, and the Terran player takes the ridge line in front of your natural, it's almost lights out. Like, if they're able to hold that position, it's so hard to break, and they're just going to keep trading fantastically as you try to smash through that.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to think of a better build for this map. That being said, Mini, he's got some tricks up his sleeve. I'm sure he's going to pull out something spicy. He's got a bit of that royal or that cheese in his blood as well. Like, he does not like to play a completely straight up game or a completely straight up series. He has some balls of steel, man.
He certainly does, and interestingly enough, Mini can't even get confirmation scout on this CC, so for all he knows, this is a 2 factory play or something. This is a little bit annoying for Mini. He's kinda playing in the dark. He can obviously still make some assumptions and just hope for the best that Rush isn't doing anything too cheesy, and he knows that it's cross map as well, so something like a 2 factory a lot less likely to be coming at a Rush here. Instead, just going to be sending some Marines across the board with this Vulture. This is some pretty unorthodox play from Rush, trying to catch Mini off guard with this. Let's see if this Vulture is able to either slip in, or what he wants to do with these Marines exactly. Maybe just catch this Dragoon out in the open on the ridgeline. Conversely, this ridgeline making it super easy for Terran to hold on to these first 3 bases as well. So yeah, this map will work out really nice for Rush. Pretty much no matter what. Does manage to get these mines down at these base locations to fully identify what Mini's going for.
Yeah, nice mine setup from Rush initially. All right, there we go. A little bit of a faster tech play from Mini this time. He will be going into Reavers and trying to put on some pressure. See if Rush has same great defense we saw from Light in his game versus Snow. Able to shut down everything, just prevent the Reavers from really doing any damage. I mean, I put Rush on a pretty similar, in a pretty similar category to Light when it comes to skill level. How about you, Shun?
Yeah, no, very similar. I think as good as Rush is, I think he's one of the more underrated players. I don't think most of the viewers realize how good Rush is. He's been probably somewhere around like the 3rd best Terran in the squad of the Terran's lineup for quite a few years overall. Yeah, he's always been super consistent and never really been slouching or going into slumps as the years have ticked by. Let's see what he wants to go for here. He's got a little 3-tank move out, kind of going around the edge of this octagon in the center. Probe can't quite be denied before throwing down this Nexus. Looks like Rush a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on this timing attack. Notice how many pylons that Mini has to make on this map to get a good wall going, by the way. Another frustration for Protoss is on Octagon. You can't just like easily set up like a 4-pylon wall in the natural and make it difficult for the Terran player to slip by. with those vulture units. So he's got 5 pylons just to make it a 1 dragoon gap. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, that is pretty frustrating, but now that he's got the wall in there, it can move his Dragoons forward to contend with this push, but look, he just lets the tanks get up on the high ground, uncontested. That's a little bit rough, and he takes 2 volleys on the Reaver as well. Great target fire there from Rush. He's trapped up against this Nexus. He's got to pull the trigger with the Reaver, but he immediately loses it. Dude, Rush is bearing down now on Mini, and I don't think that he can hold on.
Yeah, he's even like baiting a probe pull, so all these probes are gonna get absolutely demolished. Oh my gosh, Mini's gonna tap out. GG is called, and Rush bringing Terran 1 step closer to that victory line and being able to go into that finals match up against Zerg. But there's still 1 revive left remaining for the Protoss dugout. Who are they gonna bring back, Saiyan? Are they gonna bring back Snow, Best, or Mini? Those are the 3 obvious choices, but I can't quite figure out who I would bring back.
Okay, we've come full circle, guys. Snow spawning in the bottom left now on Jane Doe. He's been revived and will be facing off against Rush in this potential final match.
And he needs to get 2 wins because he needs to kill Rush, and then whoever gets revived by the Terran squad. And you have to imagine it's gonna be Royal who gets that revive, no matter how good Rush plays in this game against Snow, if he does end up going down. Let's see if any player wants to get greedy here. I mean, Nexus first is fine. CC first is fine. Sometimes you'll see players hesitant to do that, and will still do a more mid-rangey style. Or just, you know, play semi-greedy with like a rangeless expand or a bunker expand here. Knowing Rush, this is probably not going to be a CC first, but we'll see. He could still surprise me.
Since we're on the potential last game of the night, just want to shout out the Patreon page, Saiyan Shun Duocast, link in the description, guys. If you want to support the Duocast that Shun and I do, we would really appreciate it. We're going to be doing some additional casts together coming up soon in the IPSL. I'll be making some announcements about that soon. The foreigner-led tournament. A lot of good Chinese stars in there too. Players from all around the world, so it's a lot of fun. It's coming down to some of the final matches, so lots of excitement there, and looking forward to casting that with you, Shun, guys, and looking forward to bringing you guys lots more content. So again, really appreciate the support from you Patreon supporters out there.
Yeah, much appreciation to everyone that does show us any form of support and love. Means the world to us. And Rush is surprising me. He's going for that CC first, and it might actually pay off in a big way, because Snow is basically mirroring him with the Protoss variation. And I wouldn't say it's like a lot of people used to think like CC first versus Nexus first. CC first is like way ahead, but it's maybe a teeny tiny slight advantage for the Terran, but it's much more even than we used to think it was.
Yeah, it's still very playable for the Protoss, especially if they play a more greedy version of the Nexus first, which I'm sure that we're gonna see here from Snow. Like, you're on your own high ground, you don't have a lot of pressure on you at all, so you should be able to get away with, for instance, not making double gateway after Nexus and going just straight into his cybernetic core, getting that robo out right away. Everything going to be lining up nicely here for Snow, and Rush is going to have a pretty good base of macro to work with, but can he handle Snow, who's just such a god in this matchup?
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see. I mean, we did see a few small mistakes from Snow in these other games. I do feel like everyone's kind of caught up to the meta a bit more, and Snow's having a harder and harder time as events progress of actually like exploiting his phenomenal micro. I think we might reach a point where Snow needs to diversify his skill set and become a more complete player with having better optimizations and overall macro to compensate. Because it does seem like the longer we go on, the better Terrans are at dealing with his shenanigans.
Yeah, gone are the days where he can just annihilate Terran players at the highest level with just one Reaver in the early game. Like, it's just never going to happen again, I don't think. And it is kind of reminiscent of some of the other revolutions that have happened throughout Brood War, right? Like, we've had in the past players who are just so good at Mutilus Micro that Terran would just die super consistently. And there was almost nothing that they could seemingly do, but eventually those times go away. Players get better, they get stronger, and they adapt, and Terran has definitely adapted in this most recent meta. The harassment here, it looks dangerous, but it's not such a big deal. Just gotta juggle the SCVs correctly, make sure not to lose any, and get a little bit of repair onto this supply depot so it doesn't fall until the tank pops out and holds this. He's got the second factory done. He's got a second armory, or a second add-on as well, excuse me. So he's going to be able to pump double tank back at home. Should be able to make enough to completely shut down any further aggression from Snow.
Always gives me nostalgia when I see Protoss players challenging a wall like that. Because back in the day, you'd almost always see the Terran walling off and the Protoss going like 10-12 gate and trying to get on top of the wall with the goons and pick off Marines before the tank can pop out. Really good juggling of the SCVs by Rush, by the way. That was super optimally held by him, and he only made a single Marine as well to boot, so he is looking pretty fantastic. Equally though, Snow made a super quick third base back at home, and will have his own powerful economy to work with going forward. Could be a very impressive macro game, a bit of a tug of war between these two sides going forward. Some spotter pylons as well here from Snow, and popping out a shuttle, got that support bay on the way, so we definitely will be seeing that well-branded Reaver control from Snow one way or the other.
I wonder if we're going to see Reaver Carrier out of him in this game. I think it's a great combination, and basically nobody does it better than him. Doesn't have the best carrier control, but the Reaver in combination with the carrier, nobody utilizes it better. We're going to see Scan now in the main base. Quite a lack of gateways here, so he should be aware that there is likely a Nexus at this third, and Rush going to start to pump up that factory count, going up to, what do we got here, 6 factory? Okay, no, 5, no, 6 factory. Okay, 6 factory. I mean, you don't have to push with 6 factory, but it's definitely leaning that direction.
Yeah, more often than not, you definitely want to be doing a timing attack with that. Theoretically, you can just take the third base and sit back with a high unit count, but it doesn't feel that strong, especially if Snow wants to take this 4th base up here in the top left anytime soon. He has a probe in position to do that by around about the 8-minute or so mark. So yeah, this 6 factory play might still work out well here for Rush, and also lines up pretty good to punish early carrier tech as well. Shuttle though, sharking around. There are some Goliaths here inside the main base to put some damage onto this shuttle with the Karen boosters, and a scan does get that shuttle pretty low before it gets out of range. It's going to be a little bit disheartening for Snow. It's going to be harder and harder to sandbag the Terran's advance with that shuttle already drying up on its HP, but he's going to try and shove into the natural expansion. Gets at least one Scarab connection off on the tank, but the Reaver goes down, and Rush clearing out that shuttle super early. Yes, he's going to concede a couple of tanks here on the low ground, but the main threat of that shuttle Reaver so far already dealt with.
Wow, the supply depot's really giving Rush a hard time. He was not able to get his other tanks into siege range there to save the remaining tanks at that bottom of the ramp. So took more damage than he probably should have. The way that he microed there and in controlled with the Goliaths was spectacular, shutting down Snow's shuttle so quickly, but wasn't really fully rewarded for it. He will, however, be able to take over this high ground pretty effectively. We're waiting on another Reaver to pop out here for Snow. He actually has to stop Rush from easily taking over this high ground. If he allows this ramp to get quickly snagged away, he is going to be in a world of hurt. Dropping Zealots on top of all of this. Zealots right in the mix with all of the tanks. Dragoons are going to try to run forward here, try to drag some splash damage, and actually they're doing a fantastic job. He gets rid of all these tanks and shuts down the attack. Snow makes it work, man. That was a pretty dangerous moment there, but he actually smashes right through.
Yeah. This comes down mainly to the geometry of the map as well. Like, look at where he chose to engage, right at the low ground of that massive ridge line, giving so much mischance to those tanks and making it so hard for Rush to break through. And notice how Snow has gone about this game a lot differently than YSC did. Like, Snow had the probe up there in the top left to throw down the Nexus and delayed it until he actually dealt with the 6 factory timing. Now he's trying to take it, and I think sending up a shuttle there to help clear out some of these vultures that are being a little bit annoying. But yeah, masterfully done by Snow, showing a lot of poise and patience and not getting ahead of himself.
Rush appears to be taking a third base behind this. Third base, very easy to hold on this map. Basically just rally all the factories to the low ground here, and he can easily snap that up. And therefore we'll have, you know, a potential late game versus Snow, although that first push getting shut down so handily definitely takes a lot of wind out of the sails. He's gonna try to push forward here again, maybe run right up on top of this high ground. Dude, if he gets up here, I'm telling you, it is so tough for the Protoss player. You cannot allow this ridge line to get seized away too easily, and in fact Snow does make it there in time. He has a Reaver available, maybe even some Zealot bombs to go along with that, and so it has avoided disaster once again. Rush right next to that ridge line. He's going to try to start slowly but surely creeping up on top of that, but behind this does not have a third CC, so he is really reliant on this going well.
Yeah, and this is a carrier transition from Snow that we expected. He just hasn't gone into it too quickly. Made sure he was somewhat stable first. This is a bit of a sneaky play from Rush, though. Does get a line of tanks up onto this high ground ridge underneath the nose of Snow while he was distracted, macroing back at home. Reaver counterattack inside the main base, rotating to this back pocket expansion. Can he get a massive scarab on those SCVs? Okay, does, as they turn. Kill quite a few of those. Big engagement now from Snow. Zealots getting into the face of Rush. Not that many Dragoons behind this, though. He can clean up those Zealots. Rush will be able to bat this back and keep advancing towards Snow, and kind of Rush has to do something here. He's taken so much economic damage back at home. Another monstrous Scarab, and Rush now is basically all in. Like, he has to do at least a lot of damage with this attack to make it playable in the late game. And so far, Snow is doing a good job of hanging on.
Ooh, another great river shot there to soften up those tanks that are still trying to push forward in a valiant, but ultimately, I think, fruitless effort here. Pushing in towards Snow's natural while his home burns. His mineral line is on fire. Most of the SCVs have been killed, and he's dropped now below 60 supply. He's gonna try to re-rally to the front and get a couple of turrets up here at the natural and keep this rolling, but I think Snow is moments away from confirming this victory if he just manages to macro and micro through this last couple of moments. A great scarab there right in the middle of all of that. SCVs and tanks, lowering them all down again in HP. bruising them up for the follow-up zealots to come in and clear things out.
Yeah, Rush unfortunately can't afford to let his foot off the gas pedal to try and expand and transition out of this. He has to kill Snow here and now, and he's just not going to be able to do it. Absolute masterclass from Snow this game. He's basically been hanging on by a thread, especially after losing that first shuttle and Reaver. Had to walk a tightrope to navigate it. And as you can see, he's like barely cleaning up these forces of Rush, but that also will mean that, you know, these carriers are going to start trickling out. There is no transition point for the Terran as well. He hasn't done the damage that was necessary. He's going to GG out, and we're going to go down to our final match with one player remaining apiece. Who are they going to revive? You have to imagine it's going to be Royal.
All right, guys, the surprise of the night, Light has been revived. I guess not too crazy of a decision. These guys have so much faith in Light. He's such a pillar of the community. Crazy good player. Just considering the the victory count overall, it's kind of hard to believe that they wanted to send him out. He's just been on such a roll lately. Light, though, still a solid player and was able to take out Snow already once in today's matches.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the Light was able to deal with Snow quite handily. But yeah, if you look at just the win record of this season of KCM alone, Light's got 4 wins, 6 losses, and Royal's now got 13 wins, 6 losses. So on paper, you're like, yeah, maybe Royal should go out here. He's just been way more consistent, but you can't underestimate the value of experience, and maybe stylistically Light is just better at dealing with Snow, and the Terran dugout just have a lot of confidence in him.
Yeah, he's been known as pretty much the #2 Terran in the world for just a crazy long time. Many years. This guy has been so consistent. Consistently also one of the last players picked in the ASL round of 16, right? Like, this guy is like almost always, you know, the last, what is it, Group D, 4th pick, right? Like every single season. So much respect for him. He's going to be doing an end scout here. He's got a top left. He's coming down to bottom right, sending out Marines. It looks like he thinks that there's like a Nexus or something. He wants to try and, you know, bully back the probes, but it's actually a Zealot that's gone around the bottom side of the map. That's crazy. Kind of a wild play from Snow, but he ends up finding his opponent immediately and will get the Zealot in with the Marines behind the Zealot. So this is a very awkward position now for Light.
Yeah, he was trying to metagame and punish a bit of greed, and is actually going to end up costing him. Does lose that SCV on the bunker. I mean, Light's going to stabilize against this, potentially with some good Marine micro, but this is still pretty annoying. The Dragoon's about to show up and the bunker's not quite finished. I wonder if he's actually has a window of shutting down that low HP Marine before he gets in the bunker. Seems like the answer is no, can't actually pick off one of those Marines in the end, but still a little bit annoying for Light to contend with, although a man of his wealth of experience does stabilize and make the game a little bit more comfortable for him going forward. Throwing down the CC now just after 4 minutes, and should be seeing a lot more normalcy returning to the game after that initial shenanigans.
Looks to me like Snow wants to try to put on pressure with ranged Dragoons early. His Nexus is a bit slow. Gonna be about on par with Light CC, so Light getting into a pretty decent position. Managed to slip that Vulture out around the top side when there was only 1 Dragoon at the front. So he is going to be able to rotate, get some scouting information, get those mines in the critical positions. Snow just going to be sitting back in his natural. Doesn't want to take any damage unnecessarily from something like a Vulture run by.
Yeah, he's got just 1 gateway worth of production, so it would be a little bit too insane to try and put on pressure at the front when they can just slip by with those vultures, and it's octagon, so it's actually really tricky to get a sim city going with the pylons. You've always got this like gap off to the left unless you pylon wall all the way into the mineral line, like we saw Mini have to do earlier on. And yeah, as a result, Snow's going to be a lot more timid, and looks like Light has double mined up the 3rd and 4th base location, so if you do try and mine sweep, you might get punished, so might be advisable to wait for that observer to pop out first. Pretty quick support bay here from Snow, maybe wanting to go for a bit of pressure early on. He's made that before the observatory, then that is always a choice for Protoss players to go for, but they more often than not go for the observatory before the robo support bay.
Classic Snow. Me getting rid of that mine without taking any damage just by juggling the zealot there. He dropped a probe and built a nexus as well. Very smart stuff from him. Even picked up the probe again afterwards. This is like really strong adaptations from Snow, because he just knows how relentless Light is going to be with those vultures and trying to kill that probe. So completely goes around it, just totally navigates the potential damage that Light could have done.
Yeah, those are always the most interesting games, where like both players are metagaming each other to the absolute limits. Like we've seen that happen before between players like Best and Light, where they're each anticipating one another's moves and planning ahead accordingly. Shuttle coming in now to the main base. Pretty good setup here from Light. Actually does get the mine to trigger on this Reaver, but doesn't find the connection on it. Does also get a cleanup on that turret to open up this location for additional harassment, and a Scarab connection onto that siege tank, allowing a kill to come into play before the Reaver can eat more than a single tank shot. So that's a nice little trade for Snow to kick things off.
Yeah, not bad at all. This is more of what we expect from Snow. It would have gone even better for him if he'd managed to pick up that Reaver at the exact perfect time to have the mine trigger and explode while the Reaver, dodges out of the way. But overall, great play from him. Has netted him a slight advantage here in this game, with the 3rd base coming up on time and that damage in the main, killing off a tank. Snow's going to be feeling pretty fantastic, and he can start to move towards that 4th base. Not much Light can do about it.
No, the question is, does he want to get super greedy and throw down this base right now, or does he want to delay that a minute or two? Both are fine, honestly. Especially against what Light is doing. This isn't a greedy build out of Light. If it was like something like a bunker expand, you see a much quicker explosion of factory count. They're making them way ahead of schedule, so you do have to be mindful of that. But in this case, he kind of has all of the options available. You can be a little bit greedy or play on curve and take it much more delayed. Just clearing out some mines here out on the map. He's already dealt with the mine here at the 3 o'clock base. Looks like he's now moving into position to secure that location for a potential expansion timing.
Yeah, Light tried to get away with no turrets, or very few turrets there in the main. Didn't quite have the setup that he needed, but he's cleared that up now. He's got plenty of tanks in position. He's got mines in the main. He's got Goliaths and turrets all set up. Probably won't be taking any more damage from here to the Reavers, but it still doesn't mean that he can push out safely. These 2 Reavers are going to be juggled in front of the natural, and as Light tries to make any sort of a move forward, likely to try and take this 3rd base at the front, he's just going to get peppered by those Scarabs, run by into this 3rd. It gets about what you'd expect, maybe 3 probes, somewhere around there. Not the greatest trade in the world for Light, but getting a few probes here and there for some vultures that have already traded out their mines is all right. Double shuttle into the mansion. This is crazy. There's quite a few turrets and Goliaths ready and waiting for this. Double Reaver going to be dropped off here, and they're actually out of range of this tank, so The Zealots are going to be able to come forward, start to clear everything out. Vulture run by doesn't do the greatest. He's just going to go right after the supply depots. Dude, he's actually going to get so many supplies here. Big explosion. 4 supply depots gone. You hate to see it. Light falling for the oldest trick in the book, building all of his supply depots right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The SimCity of Terran is pretty difficult with how big the supply depots are. Tend to have to do that at some point in the game. Does get punished though, nicely done by Snow. 3rd CC finishing up, ready for the float off. And by the way, Light scanned the core making +1 weapons upgrade, so he has an idea that Snow is thinking about the idea of carriers, so it has some good way of navigating this game going forward. He has a decent amount of information. It's not the end of the world to trade vultures for probes, especially before leg enhancements come online and they can start running you down with zealots on the ground. So he's been trying to get something done with those vultures for most of this game. Oh, he picks up the Reaver as he's moving out to take this 3rd base location. These trades going a little bit better for Light at the moment, but is that looming threat of the carriers in the background gonna be able to come online eventually?
Oh my gosh, these Zealots, man, they took so much damage from the mines earlier. While he was microing Reavers at the front line, Snow allowed a ton of damage to hit directly on top of this. Ooh, huge shot from the Reaver. Oh, big kills there. 5 kills right off the bat for that Reaver. He's going to kill some more Vultures and Marines at this front line and continue to make things difficult for Light. But I don't think this is a super quick transition, man. I feel like look at how quickly he added the Citadel. Usually if you're gonna go for carriers right away, you start the carriers immediately and you build a Citadel later. You wait for like you have the quite a late Zealot leg upgrade, but he went for a very quick Citadel, built the Zealot leg upgrade. He started the +1 and a single Stargate, but it felt to me like he was more so gearing up for a defense with his Gateway army and planning to switch into carriers a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the switch will take a long time to fully come underway, but having the core already upgrading those air weapons, it will make them more potent when they finally do come online, and it might be a little bit challenging for Light to get this 3rd gas set up. And he definitely needs it to make sure he can churn out enough factories. Oh, another big vulture run by here from Light, actually killing quite a few probes, and already is trying to move out onto the map. This is a little bit awkward for Light. Needs to be careful not to get overwhelmed by the speed zealots on the ground after you've already committed so many of your vultures. A little bit precarious, but is setting up some mines in the wake of these units to make sure he's pretty secure. Really would like to see him try and take this 4th base over at the 9 o'clock. I think he's sending an SCV over there now, but it feels a tiny bit late against the setup here of Snow.
Yeah, that was a bit of an awkward moment there. For a second, didn't really have any vultures with his army, and it looked like there was a potential for Snow to dive on that. As things start to round out here, though, I mean, Light's going to push forward strongly, killing off all the observers and spreading out his tanks really well. I don't think Snow can engage this anymore. Like, that is way too good of a spread, and there are so many mines intermingled here. I don't know if he can actually break this, and he cannot allow this army to get up on his high ground. I don't care if he has carriers on the way or not. He's not going to have enough in time to stop Light if he gets up here. And look at this, he's already pushed away the Reaver. Light, Snow has to go. He's just gonna dive right on top of this. All the Zealots are right intermixed inside of all these tanks, but they're not able to trigger the mines there in the background. The mines are right in on top of a lot of these tanks, and he could actually drag them into the units. He's gonna get some of those mines to trigger, but they're not dealing that splash damage. 2 carriers come out, but there's enough forces to keep pressing forward, Shun. This is looking bad for Snow.
Yeah, it's just looking so bad for Snow right now. This timing attack from Light is so insane. Snow thought that with that massive squad of Zealots, he'd be okay and buy enough time, but doesn't seem like it's going to be the answer that he needed and has to evacuate this mineral only. Light is encroaching upon him as the seconds tick by. Going to set up a nice contain here. There's not that much buildable terrain for turrets, which is maybe going to help out Snow a little bit here, but it's taking him a long time to build these interceptors up to start having a fighting chance against this. And there's enough tanks that survived that fight just before that he's in a lot of trouble. And actually going to be setting up some turrets here towards the mineral only location while laying siege to the front door of Snow. Doesn't look like Snow has that good of an answer, but he's just going to go for it anyway. A few Dragoons and a bunch of Zealots with a Reaver, trying to do a lot with a Little to see if he can maybe get the Goliath count down low enough for these couple of carriers to start reigning supreme. But good control from like denying the surface area onto 4 of those Goliaths, so he has a little bit of punching power, especially with that turret finishing up here in the natural. Light is full steam ahead. He's getting a 4th base behind this as well, and Snow forced to evacuate yet another expansion.
It's brutal, man. He's just barely not going to have these carriers online in time. I mean, they're probably going to have pretty good upgrades as well, so it's a real punch to the gut. These are not going to be enough to hold everything back, and it looks like Terran is going to go to the finals, boys. Against all odds and against all expectations, we're actually going to see a Terran versus Zerg finals. As soon as he kills off these interceptors, that's it. GG is called. Snow taps out, and Light carries his team to the finals. All right, brothers, there you have it. Protoss has been eliminated from Season 2 of 2026. Terran will advance here to the finals, and with them comes the all-kill prize. What is it, 6,200,000 won? Yeah. That's crazy, man. Like, these guys have got to be on their A game for that finals, and I don't even know if we're gonna see either side end up taking that in the finals either. These guys have been so close this entire season.
Yeah, it's been really neck and neck. Like, I think we've seen like 1 or 2 players able to get 3 wins, but it's pretty much predominantly been mainly 1 win per player and occasionally 2 wins per player. It's been such a close couple of KCM scenes, and I'm so stoked about it. It's been really exciting to watch. You never really can tell what's going to happen week to week, and then as the semi-finals and finals roll on, and predicting who's going to. I mean, look how mistaken the audience was. I can't remember, was it like 78 or something percentage they gave to Protoss winning this week? I guess shows what they know, man. Like, what a great result for the Terran squad, and I'm super looking forward to a Terran versus Zerg finals now.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. Definitely a little bit underestimating this Terran squad. Like, looking at that from the beginning, it looked like the absolute A team there, aside from maybe JYJ. Like, all these guys are total killers. I hope they make their way through into the finals as well. Like, Light Rush Royal, insane killer squad for the Terran lineup. Can't wait to see what Zerg will bring as well. Hopefully we're going to get Jaedong in there, Soma as well, maybe even a Soul Key showing up, and whoever else. It's going to be a fantastic match, guys. Yeah. Those are going to be coming up here pretty soon. We might be doing that this week or next week, but make sure to subscribe, like the video as well, and support if you can.
Yeah, by the way, like, my ideal squad for Zerg, in terms of what I would really like to watch, would be Jaedong, Sulky, Soma, and Effort. I really want to see Effort come back, and yeah, I would love to see some games from him. We'll see, though, what the Zerg squad want to bring out. You'll sometimes see Queen mixed in there, or Action, or a few of these other guys as well. We'll probably have a good lineup no matter what happens, and I do think it's going to be an absolute banger of a finals, because the Terran squad have been kind of subverting expectations a little bit, and punching above their weight, at least in terms of what the viewers think.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely my favorite matchup, Terran versus Zerg. It's just the absolute epitome of, you know, space bugs or you know, Starship Troopers or whatever you want to say. Like,
Yeah.
it's just such a fantastic matchup. Love it. It's kind of unique among RTS as well, in terms of
Right.
like you can see other RTS that have similar themes to like Terran versus Protoss, but Terran versus Zerg, I think it's very unique, especially because the Zerg has such a unique way of macroing, such a unique economy behind it in StarCraft 1. Guys, that's it for us today. Join us for the finals coming up very soon. We'll see you there.
Thanks, guys.